What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Jordan Kurtz with the comments from the Peanut Gallery podcast. I'm here with one of my longtime homies in the fight game, one of the OG Peanut Gallery crew, my man, Daniel Scarey Carey. How you doing, Daniel?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm great, man. It's a beautiful way to kick off the year. You know, the country's had a little bit of some craziness going on, but I'm not letting any of that distract me in the progress that we're trying to make being relentless in 2021.
Absolutely.
So, real quick, Daniel, where can people follow you?
At Daniel Scarey Carey MMA on Instagram, and then Daniel Scarey Carey on Facebook.
Awesome. So that's Scary Carry MMA on Instagram, and then what was the other one?
Daniel Scarey Carey on Facebook.
Perfect. So please make sure that you go follow my brother right there, and I promise you, he's going to have some big things coming. You know, I mean, he's had a couple of marquee matchups in the Bellator world. He does have a Bellator contract that is signed and is looking to keep the train rolling here throughout this next year and seeing what comes about from that. So, Daniel, I'm excited to have you back on the show. Like yeah, man. I mean, you've had some crazy stuff happen since, you know, I think the last time we chatted was either right before the Gaston fight or it was right after. I can't remember off top.
I think it was right after.
Okay. It might have been right after. Oh yeah, that's right, because we chatted about the Chael Sonnen.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Yep. I remember, man. That was awesome. You guys as a whole, though, with your team down there in Fort Smith, you guys have had a little bit of a come up over the last few months, especially. You weren't able to be active because of the lockdowns and everything with 2021 and just some opponent situations, but your teammates in your gym, I feel like you guys took advantage of the opportunities that were there, especially some of your amateurs and your regional lower level pros.
Oh yeah, we had quite a few fights because in Oklahoma they still had it. We're right there on the border between Oklahoma and Arkansas. So my coach Brian Foster puts on a show, Max Fighting Championship, and I mean I think we had maybe 20 fights, or altogether our amateurs got about 20 fights in altogether. No, it was a good year for our amateur team.
All things considered, man, that's a steady amount of volume for the Amis, or I feel like for most places around the country this last year. Because I can speak to it from our side, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, and I mean, at Factory X, like we're a big gym, like we're a big team, and we collectively had, from the point in which the lockdowns happened, I believe only 4 AMI fights. Because
Wow.
Yeah, Colorado wasn't putting any on. Wyoming hasn't, but Wyoming's like the Wild West, bro. Like
Yeah.
Wyoming
Yeah, I can
gives zero, just they give zero fucks about anything with COVID or anything like that. So it's they put on some Letway fights there. They did the first ever bare knuckle MMA fight up there. So yeah, Wyoming, that is the place if you want to have a wild spectacle type of show. Go take that up with the Wyoming Commission, because there's a good chance that they will let it happen.
Did they let headbutts happen in that Lithi way? I think I
Oh
said
yeah,
it wrong. They really? Dang.
yep,
All right.
yep,
Oh yeah.
full Letway. There was the Letway World Championship, actually they held back in November, so it was
Really?
the rematch of David LeDuc and Cyrus Washington.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember hearing about it.
That was actually, man, like for being a smaller scale show, or with a lot of local guys and a fair amount of amateurs on the card, you had one of the biggest media personality draws calling the fight. Robin Black called those fights.
Oh, did he really? Damn.
Yes. I mean that was the power of having that World Letway Championship going on, the first
Yeah.
ever Letway fight in the United States, and obviously Robin Black enjoys the hostilities, and he was gonna be there if he could.
Yeah. That's badass. I didn't know he called it.
Yeah, so that was actually really cool. I feel like for we had a couple of our guys that were on that card, and I feel like just for any of those fighters to go back and then to pull that fight up on YouTube, and you hear the voice going on, or you hear the commentary, and it's like, man, I have Robin Black calling my fight right now.
Yeah.
Like Gino Shvedov, one of our guys, he has a few different little taglines or nicknames or whatever. One of them just is, it's true player for real. But, there's a point where Robin Black tells him, yeah, and he's a true player for real. Like, it just like builds that into his talk track. So it was cool. Like, I just felt like that was a great thing, for all of these guys in this region to be able to experience that.
Yeah, that is pretty neat, especially a big show with cameras and stuff on you. It's a great experience.
Definitely. So, Daniel, I want to ask you, what is your big goal for 2021?
Well, I'm going to start off kind of small, and I have a kickboxing fight February 6th at River Valley Combat. It's right down the road, actually. It's pretty much where I do all my training at Family Combat. Same place, but different name when we have a show going on. So I'll be coming back kickboxing, and then shortly after that, I'm going to try to get an MMA fight with Bellator, and because I'm still contracted under them. And I want to go at least 3-0, hopefully, MMA-wise, and possibly get a title shot and make a boatload of money. That's pretty much my goal for 2021.
I mean, that's a beautiful set of goals right there, my man. So how many fights do you have left on your Bellator deal? Is it 2 fights? Is that correct?
Yeah, 2 more.
2 more? How does it feel that, because, I mean, when we first started chatting and hanging out and I was coming out to your fights out there at the WinStar, you hadn't been inked to a multi-fight deal yet. And that was something that you were chasing. You were hoping that, man, like I keep on putting on a good show. I'm hoping that they give me a little bit more long-term security here. What was the feeling like when you finally got that?
It was pretty good, especially when we were talking about pay, because you get paid more, which that's always number one. But to reach a goal that I worked pretty hard for 2 years fighting in Bellator, those small, sometimes we'd get televised, sometimes we wouldn't. It was just rough go. And then they just kept throwing these really tough guys at me. I kept saying yes. And then finally I got that contract. So it was a huge weight off my shoulders. Small goal, small step up this ladder of success,
Definitely. And man, I have to give credit to you, because in a couple of those fights that you had with Bellator, as you mentioned, sometimes they were on TV, sometimes they weren't. You were put in a tough position a couple of times when you were the swing fight. So for the people out there that are listening, if you're not familiar with what the swing fight is, that's by the way that they have fights scheduled prior to when the main card shows. If the undercard pushes up close enough to the main card, that last fight from the prelims then gets pushed to the post limbs, and it happens after the main event. So you can only imagine, after getting yourself up and getting hot, having a sweat broken, shaking out, ready to go, about to make the walk, then in one of your fights, I remember it was one of the ones that I was there for, you had gotten bumped to after the main event. So, you have to realign, recalibrate yourself completely, mentally and physically, to get out there and get ready to go again.
Yeah. And that fight you're talking about was I fought one of my friends, Aaron Webb, and he's a really tough guy in his own right. But me and him have both warmed up. We were right there, like we were going to the pit right before you walk out. Like they're walking us to there, and some guy comes running, and he's like, "No! You guys got blacked. It's the swing bout. You're at the end of the night." And me and Aaron stop. We look at each other. We're like, "Fuck, dude," because we're all sweaty. We're mentally there. And that was one of the harder fights just because of that setback. Because it's hard to go back, and then you get cold because you're sitting. It's hard to stay moving for 4 or 5 hours, whatever it may be. And that's pretty much what we did. But we had a good fight. I mean, it was a 2-round battle.
Definitely, man. Like I say, that's the ultimate kudos and credit to you to be able to get yourself back up and be able to go and do that at that point. Because I can't even imagine how that would feel. Like from one, the physical standpoint in general. Anybody who works out, whatever, that it's a lot harder to get back going once you've stopped. But then also, I feel like when we're talking as far as the fight game goes, you have no room for error mentally. You know, like,
Yeah,
so to reset yourself mentally, that has to be probably an even bigger challenge, but you would know better than I do.
yeah. I mean, it's hard, but I've had to do that in Muay Thai, which I don't think Aaron, I could be mistaken. I don't think he ever had to experience that. So he probably had it a little worse than I did. But there's been a few times I fought for like a kickboxing tournament or a Muay Thai tournament, and you're going to walk out and they cancel that bout and then they move it on to something else, or some craziness happens and you have to wait a while. In those bigger tournaments, sometimes that happens, and so I don't know. I'm pretty strong when it comes mentally like that, so I just rebounded pretty easily. But it
Oh,
is difficult. It is difficult.
I mean, bro, anybody who gets their nickname the way that you got yours has to be mentally strong.
It definitely doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, for let's just rehash that real quick, because there's been a lot of followers from each of our side that have came along since we first told that story. How did the name Scary come about? Because believe it or not, Daniel, that was almost 3 years ago that we told that story.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Well, it kind of started with my first coach, Cortez Coleman, and I used to work a factory job, and I would work 12-hour days. Most days I would work 12-hour days. As soon as I got off work at like 7 or 6:30 in the morning, I would meet him at the gym at 7 in the morning, work out, go to sleep. I would sleep for maybe 4 hours, and then I would be back up, picking up my kids, and then going straight to the gym. And I did that for I don't know, a year, 2 years. And within that time frame, he just started saying it was a scary work ethic, and then it just stuck to me.
And the rhyme factor definitely helps too.
Yeah, yeah,
It just
yeah.
works and blends itself perfectly there.
Oh
So
yeah.
outside of fighting, we mentioned those big goals on this year. Stepping away from the cage and from the ring, what are some personal goals? What are some things that you maybe want to accomplish or tackle throughout these next 12 months?
I want to do some more nonprofit stuff with my wife's Do Foundation, and it's just defensive empowerment for women. So anybody that's been like abused, as far as like females or children go, we go all over and we teach seminars, we help families, we do stuff like that. That's probably one of my bigger goals outside the cage. And like the fight February 6th, I'm giving quite a bit of my money to that. And we're going to try to help as many people as humanly possible.
Nice, man. That's awesome. So are you just localized in the Arkansas area, or where all do you guys go for that?
Well, because of COVID, we had to like stop everything.
Okay.
But now that we're opening back up, we got to build up funds and stuff, because it is a nonprofit. It's basically out of our pockets. So once I start fighting and getting the ball rolling, we'll start doing it again. But we've been to New Mexico, and we've been in a few places in Oklahoma. So it's still in this general area.
Okay. That's cool though, man. I mean, I think that's a very valuable service.
Thank you.
I this has just always been a thought process that I've had, but I personally believe that jujitsu should be something that is like a necessity for all young girls growing up.
Oh man, it would change the world if all the girls did it. Well, I mean, they should have it taught in school, in my opinion, but it would be kind of hard, I guess, with getting the teachers and stuff like that. But I think the U.S. would be a lot different if more people did jujitsu.
Definitely. And on so many different levels, whether you're talking just being able to coexist with people from, different backgrounds, different interests, so on and so forth. But also, I feel like, it's an incredible confidence builder. It helps you believe in yourself, and you're working hard to try to accomplish a goal. And then too, to hit back on what your demo is for your nonprofit, I feel like there's a lot of women who end up coming into martial arts gyms because they had a traumatic experience, because
Yes.
something wrong happened to them. But and there's even a couple of pro fighters now who I won't put their name out there, but that I've talked to directly, and they said that, hey, the reason why I first even came to the gym was because I got assaulted, I got attacked in a parking garage, something along those lines,
Right.
and I didn't know the first thing of what to do. Said I've always worked out these, and this is coming from them. They say that they were always in decent shape, or were athletes and worked out. But when it came down to having to know how to defend themselves, they didn't know the first thing of what to do. So they said that was like the biggest. That was almost a bigger violation than actually, that not that actually being attacked, but just the thought process, like the mental, like the mind fuck of like, wow, like I was so ill prepared to defend myself that I will make sure that I am never in that position again.
Oh yeah, and then everybody thinks like jujitsu gyms are like, well, I mean, some may be, but my experience has not been this case. You go in there and everybody's trying to kill each other. Usually, everybody you're working out with, they're all nerds. You know what I mean? Like everybody's super cool, relaxed. They're talking about comic books or smoking pot or something. Like nobody's violent. Well, I mean, within reason, but it's not a bad environment. And my kids grew up doing it, and I'm doing it. My wife does it. It's just whether you're trying to do it as a sport or self-defense, it would be a great asset to you, to anyone, boy, girl, kid, doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely. With your kids doing jujitsu, is that like a proud dad moment out there? Like especially when you see them, going through a move sequence and they execute that technique. Like, is that just like the biggest proud dad moment that you could have?
Uh, yeah. My son, when we play fight, he always tries to armbar me. Yeah, he's only 5, and he has a little bit of experience, but not very much. He's not a competitive jiu-jitsu player. He just does it sometimes, and that's pretty neat. It's pretty cool.
That's got to feel great, man. I mean, just I don't know. I coached at one point. Obviously, I don't have kids. I don't have a family or anything like that. So I can't even begin to put myself into like that level of experience or knowing what that gratification is like. But I
Right.
can halfway think of like, like when you teach something to a player on your team, and then they are able to go and then they do it for themselves, like you showed them how to, like just for example, I used to coach baseball. Like you showed them the right way how to feel the ground ball, then shift their hips, set their feet, and make a throw. When they weren't, when they were struggling with it before, then they go and they do it, and it's like, hell yeah, like you've got this, like yes, let's go. Like that's probably the closest thing that I've ever experienced to that feeling.
That is exactly how it is. But that just brought up a story in my mind. Right, like during the middle of the lockdown, we had a fight in Poto, Oklahoma, I believe, and we have grappling matches. Well, our 185-pound champion, his name's Trevor Bryant. He's an amateur. He is like the Indian Superman. I've never seen anything like him. So he, like, I don't know, a month of grappling, like not even that much grappling. He was like, hey, DC, because everybody calls me DC, and he talks with like a super hick accent. He's like, hey, DC, show me that thing you did to that guy when you choked him. So I show him, right? Like just a basic version, this, and then you don't want to end up on your back. It's like basic stuff. Well, this dude walks out there in his grappling match. The guy shoots in, he locks in the guillotine and then throws him over him, like suplexes him over, and then finishes the guillotine from mount. And then I was like, what?
What
I
just
have never
happened?
seen. Oh man, if anybody trains, they'll understand. Like he caught it from standing, a front headlock position, and suplex that man over him. And they had to have been 200 pounds. I mean, I don't know how he did it. The guy he did it to was not a little man at all, and he suplexed that dude and then finished it from mount. But his name's Trevor Bryant. He's gonna be somebody to reckon with pretty soon. He's a scary dude.
That's country strong right there, bro. That is that country strong.
Yeah, he really is. That's just one of the, like, I've never been so amazed in between, like, in a fight. I was just like, what? But well, it wasn't a fight; it was a grappling match. But still, I mean, I showed him like 2 minutes before, and I never said anything about picking the guy up and throwing him over you. Like that was just crazy. Superhuman strength.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, man. So you guys had a teammate who fought on the Contender Series this last year
Oh yeah, yep. Kyron Bowen,
with
yep.
Kyron. Yeah. So what did that add any boost of morale to the gym, or what was it like there for you guys on the team when Kyron got that opportunity?
It was awesome. It was awesome, and he worked super hard. So I was glad that he got it. You know, he fell short in that endeavor, but hopefully he'll get another one. And I think you'll be seeing him in somewhere, one of these big shows somewhere. I mean, he's too good not to be there.
Definitely. Well, I mean, hey, when you look at all things considered, that was up a weight class for him, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
so being up a weight class, all of the craziness of what went into, some of these fights for 2020 that happened, short notice to having to go through all the every single protocol that was out there. All things considered, I don't see it as the biggest, or it's not a true loss, it's a lesson. Like that's the way
Yeah.
coach always tries to teach it as is, it's a lesson. Like you didn't take the loss. They're like, it was a bigger man in his true weight class. And sometimes when you roll the dice, it hits snake eyes. Just is what
Yeah,
it is.
100%. 100%. And I mean, at least he got that experience of being on a bigger show and making that walk. And that's invaluable, really.
Definitely. Well, and then I also feel like even though, like you said, the result didn't go his way, he was able to put name to face directly in front of the brass, directly in front of
Yeah.
that UFC brass. So now they have a little bit of an easier time recognizing him in the future. What is
Yeah.
that?
And
Would that
man,
be fair to say?
yeah. Oh, yeah. And man, he's crazy. He's so talented. Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous that I really don't see anybody beating him. I mean, sometimes you lose, and he lost, but like you said, it was up a weight class. But at 170, he's a scary, scary dude. I mean, I think he walks around at like 185, maybe less than that. So, uh, but he is extremely talented.
Definitely, man. I mean, I can't wait to see the bounce back and everything that he's able to accomplish this year too. Because I like Kyron. Kyron's a good kid. Chatting back
Yeah.
and forth with him on social media all the time, or I've had him on the podcast as well. So, and that's thanks to you, by the way. Appreciate that. But yeah, that's something that I feel like has to help, or it helps an entire team when you have someone who is able to elevate their game. Well, then that makes that, you have a bunch of, at your gym, you guys have a lot of young pros and amateurs. So they
Yeah.
see, okay, well, this guy got to here, and he got to here by working hard, by doing XYZ things. And then, they can look at yourself, or look to big Brian Foster and see some of those same things. So it's just more so, everybody builds upon everybody. You keep on leveling up, and those guys are going to want to level up behind you.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And then, like, if you want to get there, you got to be consistent. You have to compete on a regular basis. You can't miss practices. That's the huge one. And a lot of the younger guys just sometimes it's lost on them, but shit sticks on a wall eventually. You just got to keep throwing it at it. And then, stuff like techniques will build and you'll get better. Just
Exactly.
consistency. Yeah.
Consistency is the key, man. I feel like that's anything in life, really and
Oh,
truly.
yeah.
So Daniel, we've covered a few different things, goals as far as fighting goes, goals outside of fighting. What is something that you want to get off your chest that we haven't covered yet?
Well, I do. And some people are going to probably think I'm crazy, but after like I get these few fights, I would love to rematch Pico. But I know I'm in no place to say anything after getting my ass beat, you know. So I would definitely need a few more wins before I start calling that dude out. Uh, but that's about it, man. I'm ready to get back in there. I'm ready to start fighting again. Make it a very productive year, 2021.
Definitely, man. And not to revisit that too much, but because of who he is, because of Pico naturally, that got a lot of airtime.
Oh yeah, but that's part of the sport. You know, you're gonna
Yeah.
get yeah. Sometimes you're the highlight reel, and sometimes you're the highlight. You know,
Yeah.
I was on the wrong end of that one. But it comes with the sport. You know, if you're not mentally there, then you might as well not even do this sport. If you're gonna get butt hurt over someone like celebrating your demise, then you're in the wrong game. I mean, we're in the hurting business, and that one I got hurt. So, you know, hopefully the next one, well, there is no hopefully. I'm gonna hurt somebody bad this next fight. I can promise you that.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Well, it seems like you've got the absolute right mentality about it. That's I feel like it starts with your mindset, and if you
Oh
have
yeah,
that locked in, then a lot of things are going to fall in line for you if your mentals are right.
yeah, I agree. I agree. And you got to have a short memory in MMA. You know, like when you win, that's great. But if you sleep on that win, you'll wake up with a loss. You know what I mean? So you just got to be smart about everything. You're not, I don't know how to put it. Like you can't let your ego get in the way and start missing practices or think you're invincible because all that'll add to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Now, is there any coaches, teammates, training partners, management, sponsors, whoever that you want to shout out?
Um, yes, I want to shout out my new manager, Ed Barnett. He's awesome. He's really helped me out a lot. And then always my,
Great guy.
uh, oh, dude, he is, man. He's awesome, dude. I also want to shout out all my training partners at Family Combat and my wife. And that's it. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Daniel, one last thing that I want to just throw this story back out there because I crack up at it every single time. It was your fight. It was I think it was Bellator 202, July 2018, and they had the little punching bag, like the punch experience, right out there in the fan area for the
Yeah.
Bellator show. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean that's the big thing that a lot of people, even now still, like the few places that are open usually will always have one of those things in there. And there's been a couple of times where people have asked me, well, like, why don't you do, like, bro, I want no part of that damn thing. And let me tell you exactly why. I was out at a show in Oklahoma, and
Oh,
here we are, me and my buddy who I was with. I don't know if you remember him, but my buddy
I
Efren, we're,
remember.
we're sitting there talking, and we're just saying, yeah, man, like that's a good way to break your hand. Like me and him are just sitting, just watching all these people just, I mean, sloshed, just have their, just slamming beers and are going up and just trying to huck their fists at that thing as hard as they can. Most people were anyway. And then we come back around, or we come out later, and well, someone did break their hand, but lo and behold, it was one of your old teammates.
Oh yeah. It was my buddy Jeffrey. Yeah. Oh man, I hope he sees this because he's gonna crack up. But I was getting my hands wrapped for the same fight that they blacklisted us. The swing bout.
Mm-hmm.
It was against Aaron Webb. I'm getting my hands wrapped, and then I see him come in, and his hand is just like wrapped up with something, and there's blood just coming out of it. And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm getting my hands wrapped, and I'm looking at him, and he's like, hey, Daniel, I'm gonna have to go to the hospital. And I was like, why? Are you okay? And he shows me his hand, and his like knuckle is like down here, and his hand swollen. And this isn't a normal human. Like he trains, and he's a stud in jujitsu. So the fact that he hit the wall, I mean, jujitsu part, I get it, you know, but he knows how to throw a punch, you know. So I don't know what he was thinking. But right after he did that, I guess he said from coming back to tell me that he had to go to the hospital to going up front to tell his wife to give him a ride to the hospital, they had moved the machine. So the machine was no longer there. They moved it. So as soon as he broke his hand, they must have went and moved that thing.
Oh yeah, they definitely moved that. That wasn't there much longer after that point. They're like, oh man, this is a much bigger liability than we anticipated here. And we just had somebody walk away with a hand that looked like it went through a cement mixer pretty much.
No, it was gross. It was gross.
But
I fought like a few hours later, so it was like, oh man, that was a wild night.
He made it back and partied for the night.
Yeah, he did. He made it back. I think right before my fight, he made it back.
Yep. No, I remember us all just laughing and joking about it afterwards. But he was just like, yeah, I mean, I can laugh at it now, but it still sucks.
Yeah, I can't believe he did that. I'm going to, as soon as you post this, I'm sending it to him. I'm like, hey, man, you're going to watch this part. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I definitely will. I'll segment that part even for that matter. That'll be its own little bit right there.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, but
take that, Jeffrey.
It's all love, Jeffrey. It's all love, brother.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just want to once again say thank you very much for taking the time, and I really appreciate you coming on and just sharing an update with everything of what's going on for you and where you're at.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Definitely, Daniel. So one last time, will you hit the people off with where they can follow you?
Yeah, Scarey Carey MMA on Instagram and Daniel Scarey Carey on Facebook.
Awesome. So, folks, there you have it. Please make sure you go give Scarey Carey MMA a follow on Instagram. We want to get that Instagram numbers up for my man right there. Help him continue to build that star power and continue to rise the ranks of the featherweight and 145-pound division, man. So my name is Jordan Kurtz. I'm with the Comments from the Peanut Gallery podcast. You can catch me live worldwide from 7 to 8 Mountain Time every single week with the voice of the Legacy Fighting Alliance, the one and only Ron Kruk, for the MMA plug on Denver Sports Betting. I really appreciate that opportunity that we have every single week, Daniel. We'll as soon as your fight starts to ramp up or we get you there, we cover Bellator 2 as well with that show. I mean, we don't do the most as far as Bellator, but we're definitely we'll have anybody and everybody that is willing to give us the time. So I hope that we can link up and connect with the radio show as well, on top of continuing more podcasts in the future.
Yeah, I'll make sure I hit you up, man.
Yeah, definitely, brother. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day, man. Hopefully I didn't take up too much of your time.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. So thank you very much, people, for following along. Make sure you hit that like, follow, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.